Hello and good evening. I'm Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton. Welcome to my 2021 virtual Virginia 10 art competition. I'm so sorry we can't gather in person this year, but I'm glad we can still recognize the incredible talent of Virginia 10 students virtually. I have been so impressed to see all of the beautiful work you've created, especially under such difficult circumstances this past year. My office received more than 100 submissions this year from all over Virginia 10, and I'm just blown away by the talent. As we've all adjusted to spending this past year at home, art has become a welcome break from the news and an even more important way to help us focus our creative energy. The Congressional Art Competition has encouraged creative expression through art for nearly 40 years and helps us recognize the importance of arts to our communities. Due to the wide level of talent consistently demonstrated by our students, we have expanded the awards beyond the Best in Show to include first and second places in each category, along with several honorable mentions across categories. This year's categories include photography, computer graphics, drawing, mixed media, and painting. We also added in an award to highlight two students at the beginning of their high school journey with the emerging artists in 9th and 10th grades. We will conclude this evening's program by announcing the Best in Show, which will go on to represent Virginia's 10th district in the U.S. Capitol for the coming year. I want to thank all the teachers and parents who supported our students. Without your help, our students wouldn't be where they are today. And I'd like to thank our distinguished judges who helped make this competition possible for joining us today. These judges volunteer countless hours of their own time to assess, rank, and find the best submissions. We would not be able to run this program without them. Now, two of our judges were unable to join us this evening due to a prior commitment, but we appreciate the contributions of Elizabeth Bracey and Abigail Gomez to the competition. Elizabeth Bracey is the Managing Director of Franklin Park's Performing and Visual Arts Center in Loudoun County and serves as a staff liaison to the Loudoun County Art Advisory Committee. In 2021, she was awarded the Leadership in the Arts Award from the Purcellville Town Council. Ms. Bracey is passionate about creating community and sees the arts as an equalizer, a way to bring people together across all demographics. She volunteers with the Very Special Arts, an international nonprofit organization that offers visual and performing arts opportunities for people with disabilities. Abigail Gomez is the owner of an artist at Pretty Girl Painting, a fine art and mural painting business located in the Shenandoah Valley. She is also an adjunct art professor at Shenandoah University. Abigail was appointed by Governor McAuliffe to serve as a commissioner on the Virginia Commission for the Arts and is currently commission vice chair. Abigail founded Art Libre Virginia, a nonprofit arts organization that empowers Latinx, Black, and youth of color through equitable access to quality arts education and programming. Abigail received an MFA in painting from the Academy of Art University in San Francisco, California. But with us today, we're very glad to have Judge Brittany Root. Ms. Root is a visual artist trained in oil painting, but enjoys working in a variety of mediums, including oil, pastel, acrylic, and pen and ink. She earned her Master's of Arts Management from Carnegie Mellon University and a BA in History and Studio Art from Georgetown University. Ms. Root creates artwork on commission for private homes and commercial enterprises. In the fall of 2019, she participated in her first sculpture exhibition at the U.S. Botanic Gardens. She currently teaches art at the Langley School in McLean and Art House 7 in Arlington. She serves on the board of directors for the McLean Project for the Arts organization, exhibition auctions, and assisting with programming for adult art education. Ms. Root has a passion for arts education and working with children of all ages to realize their creative potential. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ms. Root.
Sorry, unmute. Thank you for the welcome. I'm thrilled to be here and to be part of this judging team. And yeah, we spent a lot of time looking through all the wonderful selections of art that were submitted, and we're really blown away by the overall quality and care that each artist took with their work.
I'm glad that you guys had to choose the winners and not me, because I think I would have had a lot of trouble with that. So it's wonderful. I really, really appreciate your volunteering to take this on and all your time. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you.
Also joining us today is judge and guest speaker, Kim Rice. Kim Rice is currently serving as the interim director of the Corcoran School of the Arts and Design and full-time faculty in the Museum Studies program at George Washington University. She has taught museum studies at GW since 1996 and previously served as its program director and assistant director. Professor Rice holds a PhD in American Studies from the George Washington University, an MA in American Studies from the University of Hawaii, Manoa, and a BA in Art History from Tulane University. A longtime exhibition developer and independent curator, Professor Rice works with museums and historical organizations throughout the United States. Professor Rice currently consults on museum interpretive plans and future exhibitions and has worked with many institutions, including Colonial Williamsburg, Monticello, and the Smithsonian Institution. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor Rice.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here. It was a wonderful experience to discuss the incredible work that was submitted for the contest with these judges. It was really, I learned a lot, and I really enjoyed seeing all the work. So shall I go into my remarks maybe?
Please do. That would be great.
Okay. So thank you very much, Congresswoman Wexton, for inviting me to this and for introducing me. I think on behalf of myself and my fellow judges, I want to congratulate all of the young artists who participated in this year's contest on their excellent work. It is inspiring for all of us, and I know Brittany would agree, to see what you've created. As the Congresswoman said, especially given the trying circumstances that we have all found ourselves in for some 14 months. Your family, your friends, and your teachers should be proud of what you have each accomplished. We wish we could give every one of you an award. It was a really great group of submissions, and we all enjoyed having the chance to look at your work. Whether you decide to pursue life as an artist or study the visual arts, as I have, or just enjoy the arts as an interest or a passion, you are at the beginning of your career. I recognize that it is hard to be optimistic right now when it seems like everything has shut down over the last year. So many things have been radically contested and remain unresolved. We wear masks, we are socially distanced, and we have limited social contact outside of our bubbles. But hopefully and happily, now the world around us in the United States is beginning to open back up. We are really fortunate to live in an area with so many resources, a wide variety of museums and art galleries among them. While you learn a lot from your teachers and your classes, you want to train your eye by visiting as many cultural institutions as you can and just look. This is what I tell my students who are not artists but would be curators. So take advantage of our proximity to Washington, D.C. In an afternoon at the National Gallery of Art, you can walk from Leonardo's da Vinci's portrait of Ginevra da Benci, his only painting in a U.S. collection, to Picasso, to Mark Bradford. Across the mall at the Hirshhorn Museum, you can leave a wish on Yoko Ono's wish tree for Washington, D.C. It stands outside in the sculpture garden. Your wish will eventually end up with millions of others made and hung on Ono's trees in her imagined Peace Tower in Iceland. At the new National Museum of African American History and Culture, there is a choice installation of the work of African American artists, including photography by Gordon Parks, Hank Willis Thomas, and others. Or you can walk to the National Portrait Gallery and take a selfie with the portraits of Michelle and Barack Obama by the artists Amy Sherald and Kehinde Wiley, respectively, before they begin a tour later this year of museums throughout the United States. The Black Lives Matter Plaza, which is a piece of monumental public art, is probably about a 15-minute walk from the Portrait Gallery. Best of all of these experiences are free. So It's really important, in addition to what you practicing yourselves, to take advantage of where you are and what you can see. Many careers in the arts are open to you besides being an artist. I originally wanted to be a writer, but I have loved museums since I was a kid. My academic degrees are in art history and American studies, which is a combination of theory kind of related to history and culture. My career has been about the particular kind of storytelling you do in museums through exhibitions, which blends individual experience, material culture, historical documentation, and works of art. I'm most interested in integrating into the narrative, be it local or national, an interpretation of the lives of men, women, and children in our past who were consigned to American society's margins. Expanding our ideas about who makes history and who makes art is part of what we can do in museums and how we can open the eyes, hearts, and minds of a wider audience. So regardless of what you plan to do with your life, understanding the way in which artists and their work reflect our times and give insight into who we are is critical to being alive today. I really believe this. Think of artistic creations and your knowledge and experience with them as a well that you can go back to at any time for ideas, for spiritual support, and for comfort. This year, when I couldn't visit museums or see art in person, I visited them online. The pandemic, this is a positive thing that happened, opened up a wealth of online resources and experiences, including for me, a wonderful series of short interpretive videos in English with captions in Dutch made by curators, educators, and conservators about art in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. And you could each probably can name many more examples that you saw or studied during the pandemic when we were so isolated. In my current job at the Corcoran, I am in regular contact with many artists, most of whom are just a little older than you are. Our school's mission is to train the cultural leaders of the future, the values we try to impart and center for them, creativity, empathy for other people and for yourself too, the strength of collaboration, the importance of community, however you define it, and a commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility for all in everything we do. No matter where we sit, we all share an obligation to work for social change, to make the world a better place. And one of the ways that we do that is through art. It was, again, a pleasure to see all of the pieces that each of you created for this contest. They remind me of the power of creativity, resilience, and hope that shapes artistic work. Congratulations again on your achievement, and good luck. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kim.
Sure.
Now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Let me get my list. I'm starting with the honorable mentions. So we have 4 honorable mentions this year, and let me name them. Mira Zinden, Playing with Paint, who's from the Loudon School for Advanced Studies. Khadija Alozai, Afghan mother. She's from Briar Woods. Samantha Marvel, American icon, Loudoun Valley High School. And Andrea Yao, Reflection, McLean High School. Congratulations to all of you. I think, Brittany, you're going to do photography.
Yes, I am going to do photography. Is the slide for the there we go. So for our second place winner, we have Amisi Mariana Santos Smith for Midnight Cereal. We believe it captures a small and relatable moment, the act of pouring milk into a bowl of colorful cereal. You've got artificial light that's sort of bouncing off the colorful cereal loops in the midground, and that dark background suggesting nighttime, and the slightly blurry milk in the foreground may also reflect the bleary-eyed person that's just out of view. The playfulness and the perspective made this piece stand out for us. Now for first place for photography, we selected Hawaz Sarwari Defaced. It was an immediate favorite among the judges. The vivid and highly saturated colors and the clarity of the figure's dress pulls forward, and it separates from that muted and slightly out of focus background. So you get this, it's creating this really distinct depth of field. And the light is so beautifully diffuse throughout this photograph. The figure stance was intriguing. She's standing solidly, rooted like the trees in the background of the photograph, but yet her arm is sort of wrapping protectively around her back. Some of us took this to mean suggesting both strength and vulnerability. We can't see the face of the figure, so the viewer sort of seeks clues about the subject through the body language of the figure, through the dress and the surrounding landscape. So it was a very striking piece.
Next, we have the computer graphics. And this is Nightlife by Vilina, Upadhye. And we were very impressed with this particular piece, all of us. We liked the creative approach to the subject, the sort of the view of the city within the lamp. And it showed a great deal of accomplishment in the drawing part of this, and then also in the computer realization of the piece. I think that this made this a very unique and particularly appealing work. So congratulations on this. Vilina, I should say, is a student at Briarwoods High School. So the first place goes to Abdalla, Feminine Enough. This is a piece that spoke to all of us. It is a very accomplished rendering. Great color, use of color. And I think the thing that maybe we all responded to, which you can see in the piece, is there's a poignancy. This to us was a piece about identity, and it really draws you in. It makes you feel or think about the kind of multiple identities that we are sometimes all forced to assume. And the artist really captured this very well. So congratulations on this piece too. And Apurnva, is a student at Langley High School. I'll get the snail. Oops.
I know this snail. I love the snail. He's so awesome. So for second place in the drawing category, A Snail's Pace by Joan Lee. Lee not only demonstrated a strong draftsmanship through the technical execution of A Snail's Pace, but imagination and creativity and an incredible eye for composition. You've got this conceptual merge of the snail, the bicycle, and the fern. And it sets up both tension and harmony within this piece, which is kind of an interesting dynamic. The tension comes from the different speeds each element moves, and the harmony comes from that universal spiral shape that is found in the fern fronds and the snail shell and the bite gears. Lee brings the viewer on this delightful visual roller coaster ride around this really imaginative piece. We loved it. And for first place, we have Sung Hung Park's drawing, Introspective. It is remarkable for several reasons. Park's choice of, you've got the transparent glass bottles, the highly reflective surface on which the glassware sits, and the slightly foreshortened perspective, and the cropped composition of it presents many challenges that would test any artist's drawing skills. But Park tackled each of those challenges with an expert hand, creating a really dynamic and engaging still life that is activated by the nuanced transition from light to dark, which allows the viewer's eye to just dance through this remarkable still life that to us felt anything but still.
So in mixed media, the second place goes to Faith Noang and Miss America. She's in the Loudoun Valley High School. We really liked the way in which this combined different media. It had this very colorful floral background, which sort of alerts you immediately to the piece, and then this very, very strong portrait of the woman, which is very well drawn, and it was the sort of thing we were this way in many cases, but this was not a hard choice for us because it's such a well done piece. So I think that it's very accomplished. First place goes to My Monday in Pacific by Lorena Alred. We were also struck by this because it's an unusual piece. The colors, again, are really very entrancing, I guess. And you may have trouble seeing this, but there's actually metal pieces around the figure's head, and then also a kind of necklace that she's holding in her hand. And we were really struck again by the power of this particular piece. And it's slightly abstract, but it also has this human figure at the center who's looking off to the side, not at you. And it seemed almost like the perfect kind of image frankly, for the pandemic, the kind of isolation that many people have experienced. So again, congratulations on a really interesting and well done piece.
Next up is the painting category. And in second place, we have Andrew Park's piece. Andrew Park's piece, The Faces of the Pandemic. It feels very of the moment and a reflection of the past year that we've all experienced. The multiple faces could be read in several ways. Maybe our different emotional expressions or reactions to the evolution of the COVID-19 pandemic, the facial expressions that we can only sort of half communicate as a result of our faces being partially concealed by the mask. His choice of tiling the painting is really visually interesting as the overlapping rectangles and squares create this subtle sense of depth, it's very well executed. And for first place in the category of painting, we have Surpranya Medichirilla. Medichirillas, and I apologize if I've butchered your name. Your vivid use of color and repeated S curves and varied brush strokes created a really strong composition. You've got this S curve action line and the subject that is mimicked in the shape of the tree trunks, and it ties together the foreground and the background really beautifully. Those two kind of complementary elements really activate the surface of the canvas, and it feels very lively. The figure feels really timeless, yet there seems to be a nod to painters who have come before. Like Botticelli came to mind when I was looking at this piece. The figure's gaze, whether it was intentional or not, the gaze and the stance is reminiscent of the birth of Venus, and so that kind of stood out to me. And then for our emerging artist category, from grade 9, we have Malak, Abdalla, All of Us. Now, despite all of the pain that has been felt and expressed this past year, Malak Abdalla's piece, All of Us, speaks to unity and hope for a brighter future. Abdalla's work is compositionally sound, and displays a strong and growing command of value and perspective, and a wonderful expression of line and texture, especially you can kind of see through the hair, the eyebrows. During the judging process, we are making assessments of the artwork not knowing the identities of the artists, and we don't read the descriptions until after the selections are made. Abdalla's description of the girl gazing skyward, I think, really captured the essence of what we saw as judges in this piece, and why it resonated so strongly with us. So I thought I'd use Abdalla's words to describe why she's looking skyward. Abdalla says, "What does she see? A wonderful world filled with all of us together, equal to one another. Up there, we are together. We are equal. We are power. We are the future. We are hope. We are all of us," which I thought was beautiful. It was just wonderful. And it comes across through this piece.
For the emerging 10th grade artist, we want to celebrate the Harika Mekalinimi. And I also, please, I'm sorry if I am mispronouncing people's names, and I apologize for that. This we all thought was a very powerful piece, and it again spoke to one of the sort of pillars of our time, the climate change and the kind of world that young people are facing right now, and thinking about how are they going to manage their lives when the clock really seems to be ticking against them. This was artistically very well done. The composition is very accomplished. You immediately get, and this isn't always the case when you look at art, but you immediately understand what this is about. So it really speaks very directly to people, and I think it's just well executed, to the point, and very powerful. So we expect both of these artists to be future winners in the years to come.
Thank you all so much. Now, those are some really impressive submissions, but it's my honor to announce Best in Show, what we've all been waiting for. Now, this artist did an amazing piece, which really moved everybody who saw it. I'll tell you a couple of the things that the judges mentioned in their assessment of this piece before we unveil it. This artist demonstrated a phenomenal command of the technical elements of drawing, perspective, value, and composition. To be able to use drawing tools and create such an incredible range of highlights and shadows that the fabric looks soft, the buttons appear metallic, her face is more lifelike than any photograph could capture, is akin to magic. Her subject choice also resonated with the judges. It can be interpreted in many ways, perhaps a meditation on aging or reflections on the memories we carry. Her technical skills, along with her creative voice, was so quietly powerful that the judges had no trouble in coming to a unanimous decision for this piece to be awarded Best in Show. And I'm just going to say that I don't describe it nearly as articulately or as artfully as our artists do, but this is an amazing piece. You know, the incredible range of highlights and shadows is something that I've never seen, you know, somebody do this as well in a drawing. It can be interpreted in many ways, perhaps a meditation on aging or reflection on the memories we carry. Those are two ways that this can be interpreted, but that's not how I interpreted the piece. And that's how you know you've got really great art, because every person who views it interprets it differently and puts their own spin on it. So for me, it was about different generations and how we're all just reflections on our ancestors and their reflections on us. So without further ado, the winner is Alison Wan with Mother, Best in Show.
Congratulations, Alison.
Kim and Brittany, could you guys each take a moment and talk about, you know, some of, I know I already said, you know, some of the narrative that you guys came up with, but can you describe a little bit what went through your mind when you saw this piece and what you found so impressive about it?
Brittany, you can start.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, like I think that the piece was really striking at first. You know, I knew it wasn't a photograph, but you know, the lifelikeness of her, Congresswoman Wexton said, is it's more lifelike than a photograph. Like it has this real presence. It has this quietness. The technical skills. You can see, like, if you could zoom in on the hair, this artist has managed to get the texture of the hair, both the hair that's gray as well as the hair that's black still, and then the thinning too that's happening kind of at the crown of the head, and just her technical skill in being able to represent fabric and metal and reflection, as well as the texture of hair and sort of like the translucency that's happening from that hairline. It's remarkable. And yeah, it's quiet, it's meditative. You know, I had taken it as she's reflecting on memories from her childhood, and taking just this moment to pause. And it's a little unclear. It looks almost like it's a window that she's by, whether it's a window in her house or maybe she's like on a bus or a train going somewhere. She's kind of caught in this sort of contemplative moment, and it's I think that's what makes it so powerful, that this artist was able to capture that just so beautifully.
It really tells a story, and I think that's one of the things that makes it so powerful is you see this older woman, and then what I took to be her younger self on sort of the other side of the window, and she's remembering, you know, the woman looks a little bit more beaten down with age, as maybe all of us older people are. And then this younger woman on the other side with this very optimistic smile. I just thought it was, for all the reasons that you both have said, I mean, it's just very well, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful work, and it really has something to say.
And it makes you wonder too, doesn't it, Kim?
Yeah.
Like did she achieve, like, that girl that is reflected in the mirror, did she meet all those hopes and dreams that younger self had? And you can't tell, right?
Right.
Which is,
yes, this could just be a sad moment for the older person who would then be fine 5 minutes later. You know, it's just we all have those moments where we kind of contemplate our past and our younger selves and what we thought was going to happen to us in life, and maybe it did or didn't. And this really captures that sense to me very well. And the fact that we didn't know when we saw it, Alison, that you had named this mother. So I'm assuming probably your mother, whose story that you're telling. And I hope that she's as proud of this piece as we were impressed by it.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I very much look forward to seeing it in the Capitol every day as I walk back. And you know, when looking at this piece, you know, as a layperson, I just am so impressed by the use of light and shadow and things like the reflection of the older woman's glasses and the shadows and the light. There is amazing work for a drawing. So really, really exceptional, and just I can't wait to see it in person and be able to get up close to it and really look at it and inspect it closely, because what a fantastic work of art. So thank you so much, Alison. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating. You know, I hope that this is the last year that we'll have to do this virtually, because seeing these pieces up close and personal is one of my favorite things. And also because, you know, when I go through the pieces and the submissions, there's always some that don't place, you know, with the critics and with the judges. But I love them, and I usually get them in my Capitol Hill office if people are willing to send them to me for a year. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate your joining us, and thank you for submitting your pieces, and thank you for enjoying art. Take care. Stay safe, everybody. See you next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.